Hey there, it's Jonna Matlock. I am a lash artist, coach, and lash trainer, and I've been lashing for 14 years. I am here to help you with retention. This video is all about mastering retention. Every lash artist should be getting great retention, right? If you're not getting good retention, you're still struggling and your clients are coming back and they're missing lots of lashes when it's only been a couple weeks, and maybe they have a lot of empty gaps, or they're texting you complaining my lashes are falling out. I'm going to give you some reasons why you might not be having the best retention. And it could be one of these, it could be a couple of these, it could be all of them that maybe you are making these mistakes. I'm going to give you practical steps to analyze in your lash routine and see if any of these stick out to you. Let's go. I'm not going to get into the science of lash adhesives. We're going to work through just very simple basics. Number one, you have to choose the right adhesive. This is huge. This is probably the biggest one, is number one. You have to choose the right adhesive for your room environment. So your humidity level, your temperature in your room, and also the environmental chemicals in the air. So if you are in a salon, if you're somewhere that any salon that does hair or nails, there is chemicals being released into the atmosphere, and this could be getting into your treatment room, whether you have a curtain, a door, whatever it may be. There's still those chemicals unless you have an airtight little box with your own air purifier, then chemicals are going to be affecting your adhesive. Many lash artists think, I'm experienced, my lash speed is really fast. I know how to slap on those lashes like no one else. Well, the thing is, if you're not getting good retention and you're using a high speed adhesive, your speed of lashing may not be matching that high speed. So if you are using a high speed lash adhesive, switch to the next one down, maybe 1 to 2 seconds, 1 second, 1.5 seconds. High speed is usually a second or less than a second. So maybe you would choose a lash adhesive that has a 1 to 2 second speed, or 2 to 3 even. But my tip here is use a slower drying adhesive. And I know some of you might be frustrated with using a slower drying adhesive. If you are, just bump up your humidity a little bit. But you're going to have better retention if you have just a second longer for that adhesive to melt onto the natural lash. So you definitely want that bond to take place, and in order for it to do it in a secure way, you need to give it more time. And so if it's curing too fast, you won't have good retention. Your lashes will just be prematurely popping off. Most companies will list their adhesives and a chart comparison, so you can compare each of their adhesives and why they have different adhesives. There's a reason why, and the reason is to choose an adhesive based on your room environment and your speed. So both go hand in hand. If you are in a very dry climate, like I am here in Northwest Montana, your adhesive is going to be curing very slow naturally, no matter what adhesive you're using. So in the wintertime, when it is the driest, I number one, run my humidifier, but that doesn't always bring it up to the humidity level that I would like. So I tend to switch to a faster curing adhesive in the winter. In the summer, we get nice muggy days where the humidity is great. And in that case, my adhesive will be curing a lot faster. And so I need to compensate for that because the speed of my hand and how I'm lashing is not going to change. So I need to adjust my adhesive based on the room environment. And so if I am in a summertime environment, it's very humid outside, it's hot and muggy, I'm going to choose an adhesive that cures very slow as far as the chart goes on the adhesives website, because that adhesive will naturally, in the humidity level environment and temperature, it's going to be curing a lot faster. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any confusion on that picking the right adhesive, leave a comment below and I will try to answer all of those. But the main takeaway with number 1 is to make sure that you are choosing the right adhesive for your speed and room temperature, but also choosing a slightly slower curing adhesive. So if you're used to a very, very high speed adhesive, take it down just one level so your adhesive is not curing as fast, and that might just give you the retention that you need. Okay, number 2, prepping the lashes. This is a big one because sometimes there's a lot of lash artists that don't do this, and there are a lot of clients that come in with dirty, unwashed lashes. So I personally always have my clients wash their lashes before they come. This is really important for me because I need no residual of makeup, eyeshadow, nothing like that. I want them squeaky clean. I am also going to shampoo them when they come to see me. Why? Because they have natural oils that are forming from the lid and the hair, and so you're going to want to cleanse that off so that you have a better grip for your adhesive. So I always shampoo the lashes. However you want to shampoo them is fine, but make sure that you rinse them with water thoroughly so that there's no residual of the lash shampoo. And then you're going to want to use a primer. Now, sometimes I skip the primer. It really depends on the client, and it also depends on the environment. If I have a lot of moisture and humidity in the air, the adhesive is going to be grabbing onto the lash extra good. I don't really need a primer. If you have somebody that has really oily skin, oily hair, you're going to want to use a primer for them. Somebody that has really thick hair, shiny, you can tell it's really slippery, those people you will probably want a primer just to get rid of all that excess oil, but also to open the cuticle a little bit more so that you have a really good grab for your adhesive. Number 3, and this kind of ties back to number 1, is work on your lash speed. And this just comes with practice. So if you are taking a long time to get from your dipped lash extension that you just dipped in your adhesive, and you are taking a long time to, oh, I lost it, now I gotta separate again and find it, and then, okay, now I'm gonna place it, you have lost too much time. Like, if it's taking you more than two seconds, I would say, to get that lash attached, then it's too long. Your adhesive is curing. Any of the speed of adhesives, they're designed to start curing right away, especially if you have moisture in the air. So any lost time of curing, some of that adhesive on that lash is already starting to cure as it's traveling through the air. So you have to keep that in mind, that it's not staying completely liquid and watery. It's actually starting to cure. And so you have 2 seconds or 3 seconds until it's too late. So if it's still wet and you apply it and you've already lost so much time, like let's say you had a lash that you separated, but then you lost it, so it took you a little bit of time to find it again, and then you're trying to place it. What I do is I just toss that one, trash that one, grab a new lash, start again. And so that you're dipping and it's going right to the lash. Dipping, going right to the lash. And so that comes with practice. So work on your speed when it comes to from the glue drop to the natural lash. Okay, number 4, this is huge. And I see so many lash artists making this mistake. Never, never, never swipe any excess glue off of your extension on anything. So what this is doing, imagine you have a piece of tape. I'm just going to use this as an example. This is under eye tape. How do we make this less sticky? So we can put it on the back of our hand, and then it's going to leave this film on it that now has a layer of our dead skin cells, so it's not going to be as sticky. So think of that when you are swiping off excess adhesive from the extension. So let's say you grab too much adhesive. You grab a big blob, or there's too much on there. You don't want to swipe it off and then apply. What you want to do is just simply re-dip the extension in the glue drop. So think of that that tape analogy that I just used, when you are swiping off any excess adhesive, you're breaking that bond of the adhesive. So now the adhesive bond is not going to be smooth, it's going to be more jagged. And so that's going to create a weak bond. If the adhesive is, if you look at it under a microscope, it's going to be more jagged with holes like this because you've just kind of swiped some off, versus nice and tight like this. So when you're swiping off excess glue onto any material, it's creating like this, like jaggedy edges around the adhesive. So if you were to look under a microscope, that's how it would be. And when you put that on the lash, it's more airy. There's not a stable connection. So that's going to cause a weak bond, which will cause the lashes to not be as strong of a hold, and they will pop off prematurely. Another reason why you don't want to swipe off on any material, so if you're using a glue ring, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but you're swiping off the excess glue, or maybe you're using those petal rings to make your fans, that's also going to majorly affect your retention. Don't do it. Use a different technique to make your fans. Don't make your fans with the adhesive. But if you're swiping off, let's say the under eye pad, which I used to do as a rookie lash artist, I would swipe off excess glue on the under eye pad. No, 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 don't do that. When I was using a glue ring, I would swipe off the excess glue onto the side of the ring. No, don't do that. Whatever material we're using to swipe off, so let's say it's, your glove or anything, whatever material you're swiping off can harbor moisture. And there's certain materials that harbor moisture better than others. That will also cause your adhesive to start curing right away. Which brings me to number 5, how you dip your lash extension matters. And this has everything to do with how your glue drop is placed and how you can access it and properly dip it. The best material for a glue drop I will talk about in step 7. But for right now, how you dip your extension in the adhesive is really, really important. All adhesives have, if they're in the proper shape, they should be in a dome shape, a glue dot dome. And this is how that glue drop should maintain until you are done with it, until it's discarded. So what you're gonna do is take your extension, and the base of the lash extension should go in straight to the middle and then back out. So you should never be swiping from the side or picking up the glue or swiping or trying to just grab a little bit from the side of the drop. You're going to want to pull a fresh bead straight from the middle of the drop, because that's where the adhesive, scientifically this is proven, the adhesive is the freshest maintained. So you want to go straight into the middle and pull out a bead straight from the middle of your drop. That's the freshest adhesive. And then you want to get it onto your lash right away. Okay, so number 6 is how you apply your extensions. So this is also part of why you don't want to be swiping the adhesive on anything. You also don't want to be swiping it on the lash or rubbing it or maneuvering it or putting it on and then, oh, it's not the right angle, taking it off and then putting it back on again. All of that will affect the retention because it's weakening the bond. So you need a smooth, seamless bond. The adhesive and the lash should marry, and they should do so in a very nice, smooth way. So if you are doing it and you're like, oh, it's messy, and now the adhesive is like this, and you're trying to stick it on, do you see? This visual that I'm showing you is what your adhesive is doing. So it's curing, and it's got all of these air pockets and mingled like pieces and sticking out that aren't a smooth bond. So you want a smooth bond. You want that adhesive to just melt to that natural lash, and that's going to give you the best retention. So don't swipe, don't wiggle it, don't place it, take it off and then try to put it back. If you need to adjust, if it's the wrong angle, take it off, get a new one, re-dip. It's okay to do that, and that's what you should do for better retention, because if you want to maximize your retention, you're going to need all of these steps. And this one is really, really important. You need that really secure bond. You also want it at the base of the extension. So the adhesive bead, if this is the extension, the adhesive bead should be right here at the base, not here in the middle. You should have a little tiny bead, and you should have a visible tiny bead, not a big blob, but a little visible bead, and that will be a sign that you're going to have a good bond and good retention. So that's going to go right in there and seal itself right on that natural lash. Okay, number 7 is something that you might not be familiar with or know anything about. So the material that you're using for your glue drop matters, and it also affects your retention, believe it or not. So if you're using one of those plastic glue rings, plastic like a teardrop, the palette that has a lot of the teardrop holes in it, if you're using that, it will affect your retention, and it's because of the way the glue drop is. So if you have enough of adhesive in there, then it's probably okay. I would prefer that the teardrop plastic one over the glue ring, and that's because when you're moving, you're actually moving the adhesive around, and so that's not good to maintain that glue drop. The teardrop will actually be able to maintain that center golden spot of adhesive that you're wanting to dip straight into. So don't let your adhesive move around or get runny or go like that, okay? You want a nice fresh drop in the shape of a dome, preferably. And the other reason why I don't like the adhesive, the glue rings or the teardrop plastic, anything plastic, is because those materials naturally harbor moisture, and we all know moisture is what cures the adhesive. The more moisture in the air, the faster your adhesive will cure. And so if you have a premature curing of your drop is not going to last as long, and it's not going to stay as fresh. So we want our glue drop to stay as fresh as possible for the best retention. By far, this right here is called parafilm, and this is going to change your lash game and your glue drop game. Like, this is the best material. This is what they use in science labs for chemicals and things like that, because it does not harbor any moisture. So, and your adhesive will stay nice and intact and will last longer. So get some of this parafilm. I got this on Amazon. I'll also post a link down below in this video. I cut little strips, let me show you, just like this size, and you can put that right on your lash tile, and it's right next to your eyelash extensions. So it's right down there. You can just grab your lash, dip it in your glue drop, and then apply. So this is the material I recommend for keeping your glue drop as fresh as possible and in the right shape. If there's something that you're still curious about or have a question on that I covered in this video, then go ahead and leave a comment for me below. And I hope this really helps you with your lash retention. And let me know in the comments if you notice better results with these really, really important steps.